this is an issue that parents are talking about throughout Michigan, and it's happening. Parents involved in what's happening in schools. It's a nationwide issue. Someone alerted me today of what's happening in Durand. Joining me now is Nicole. You're a parent. So when did this all come about? Within the last few days, or when was this?
Yesterday afternoon, it was posted by a parent on Facebook just simply asking middle school students, "Are you aware of this survey our children were given?" And no one was aware. So I'm not sure if her child came home and said something about it or she heard it at a sporting event. We all chimed in and everybody was completely in shock after hearing the questions that our children were given.
Did Was your child one of them?
I did find out that afternoon on my way to an appointment. I called him and he did say he and I believe four other students were called down.
Okay, well, I'm going to put it up on the screen. Well, first of all, what now that you know, what is it? So they called the children down to like the school nurse's office.
That's what we believed it was.
Okay.
But then after further research, we found out it was the Shiawassee County health and wellness nurse that spends time in the schools. Um, and she called down these students and without the principal even knowing.
Okay. Um, wow. Did your son then tell you, "Hey, mom, I filled it out too"?
He did, and because there was a lack of information, because we weren't aware of this prior, we all thought it was like a sheet of paper. Um, I guess it was random. Our big question is, how was our child picked? But after further talking to the Shiawassee County, they said it was on an iPad. Um, because
Huh.
my biggest concern was their peer next to them. Could they see their answers? Were they going to get bullied from their answers? And I was told that they were seated far enough apart to where nobody could see it on the iPad.
Okay. Now, what were some of the? And I'm going to put up on the screen some of the questions. Or that's the problem. I actually have it here. You might not be able to see it, but what are some of the questions? That's where the issue is, right? Well, first of all, that you didn't know about it. Um, but they ask, I'll see it. What is your gender identity? Which of the following describes you? Heterosexual, gay, lesbian, bisexual, asexual? What race do you identify with? During the 30 days, do you sleep in a motel or hotel, whatever? So those are really personal questions.
Um, and they're questions that a sixth grader should not be asked, let alone any other student without permission from their parents. Um, the lady from the Shiawassee County Health and Wellness was quick to correct me in saying that it was not a survey, it was a risk assessment. And I said, no, that's not a risk assessment. That is way too personal to be asking a minor child without a parent present or aware. So then she later sent me more of the risk assessment, which is more of, do you wear a helmet? Do you eat vegetables? Where do you sleep at night?
Oh, okay. Yeah, interesting. So you give credit to the school or the superintendent, the principal, and it's important to note you're saying that it's not their fault because what you're telling me, the parents went to the principal and the principal didn't know.
She had no idea. She and the superintendent were very quick to get back to me after I emailed them. And they were, I'm going to say they were just as mad as I was, sorry.
Oh,
Um, because they had no idea until the first parent called them questioning. And she said, I don't even know what you're talking about. And she went to our counselor, our head of the office, and they had no idea either. It took some investigating to even find out this had happened.
yeah, I can imagine. The superintendent sent me a note or a statement, basically saying the same thing that they didn't know. In the health department, they also sent out a letter as well, right?
Yes, yes.
And I'm going to bring it up, but in basically they're saying kind of the same thing in a way, or what?
In a way, yeah. They're basically saying that we signed off on it to give permission to do these types of things at the beginning of the year, which is incorrect.
Yeah, you signed off on what? Maybe give your kid an aspirin if they need one or something like that.
Right. Or, I mean, yeah, nothing of this type of manner of what does my child, my sixth grader, identify as.
Yeah, just wow, indeed. Yeah, so the health department, I see that they did put a letter. Here it is. They sent out a letter. It's really long. It explained your student was administered the rapid assessment prevention risk assessment, and then it says to address your concerns, it will no longer be administered by staff. The consent will form. It will include a checkbox. So it sounds like a lot of this stuff they should have done before.
Absolutely. I mean, this was over the line of confidentiality, privacy. I don't know 100% HIPAA, but like I told her yesterday, this is much bigger than what you can even fathom. There are so many more parents upset. This seems like a lawsuit to me on so many levels. And again, I will back our superintendent and our principal. They both were clearly just as upset as I was. They both said they wouldn't have allowed that for their own children, let alone our children. Had she seen it prior, she would have never let that happen.
Yeah, especially given the time we live in, there's a lot of say controversy either way. If you're a school district or whatever, you think you would want to button up everything and get signatures and to make sure that everyone knows what's going on.
My biggest concern is what exactly is this information being used for?
And I don't
Is
think
it is it like Durand has 32% more kids who are transgender than Perry? I mean, I don't see the relevance in that,
I'm,
actually.
I'm reading their letter and it says, yeah, it's very generic though. They use it to help people to direct services towards a healthy school environment, so forth. Very generic, so it really doesn't say. So I don't know if they use this to funding for programs or whatever. Um, yeah, and it doesn't really go into detail. And they in the health department, the letter said it was not their intention. But I mean, come on, you got to think that this does. And these
And
aren't.
I can almost see if there was a bullying issue or there was a situation where, I don't know, they needed to get to the bottom of a situation where we have a large number of transgender children or gay, lesbian children who are being bullied, and I don't know. The whole thing just seems so off to me that they would ask children this without their parents' permission.
And I want to ask because when I do these stories, and you're not saying you're not against gay or trans or
Absolutely not.
because some people will say, oh, that woman is against this and that and that.
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
My main focus is my child's safety and privacy, and I am his biggest advocate. It is my job to protect him. And
So
so when the woman called me because I demanded to see my child's survey or risk assessment, I have to jump through hoops. I have to make an appointment. I have to go down there. I have to show my ID and I have to sign in. It's like, wait, but you don't have to do any of those things? Who gave you permission to look at those answers? I'm his parent.
and also, is it your point that as a parent, you want to be the one to talk to your child about these sensitive issues?
Absolutely. And I am 100%, if the school feels maybe my child's struggling because of those things, call me in. If the Shiawassee County thought that my child was struggling with those issues, absolutely call me in. But let's not call children out of a learning environment to find out whether they're gay or not.
Yeah, what I it's been a while. What age is that? Sixth grade to eighth grade? What ages is that?
My son is in sixth grade. He's 12.
Okay. So anywhere
So,
between 11 and 13 or right in that
yeah,
area.
because I also have a ninth grader and he's going to be 15. So,
Okay. So for the people who might say, "Oh, this is just something little," but really it comes down to parents should be in control, right? Of what's going on with their
well,
kids.
we should at least know what's happening. And the other biggest concern is that my child was called out of his classroom and nobody knew. Nobody knew.
Not even the principal.
Not even the principal who is in charge of my child. So if something happened to my child, you know who's liable? The school. That's not fair to them.
Last thing, what is your message? It sounds like, are you, what do you want to come from this? Obviously, this to never happen again the way it did. Maybe to someone at the health department or the state, more the health department, they need to redo their, and I guess they are from the notice they put out, they're changing the way they do things. They need to do that, I'm assuming.
Right. And I guess also for us parents, we need to pay attention more to what we're signing.
Yeah, yeah. How important is that? Yeah, because when you sign something, and like you said, I signed something agreeing to let them give my kid aspirin or that. But you
Right.
gotta think about it. What really does it say?
Right. Or, maybe it did say, I agree for Shiawassee County to talk to my child um, in a therapy session. Um,
Yeah.
which is fine, but this is a totally different situation. And even in that manner, I want to be notified.
Yeah, absolutely. Wow. Okay. So it seems like the parents are together, and even the this is a weird situation because the principal, the superintendent, the parents all seem to be on the same page.
Oh, yeah. When I spoke to the superintendent and the principal yesterday, um, they absolutely told me that Shiawassee County refused to give them any answers because it's all confidential. And so I said, "Well, I want their contact information." And they said, "Absolutely." And they sent me the woman's information right away. And I feel like I was probably the first parent to actually call her because she stumbled over her words a lot. She didn't really know how to handle the conversation.
Wow. Okay. Well, hopefully this brings light that it never happens again there. And then other school districts are watching, other health departments, and making sure. I'm not going to give an opinion whether it's right or wrong, but parents, I will give an opinion. Parents do need to know what's happening.
Right. And the beginning of the school year is really busy and we're signing a lot of things. So maybe this is an eye opener for us to all slow down and actually read all the fine print to everything we're agreeing to at the beginning of the school year.
Yeah, definitely. Well, I appreciate it. And maybe, things will change and you're brave to come on because I know you'll face some criticism, but you
That's
only
okay.
want you only want what's best for your kid.
I do, and I stand behind our school and I speak for a lot of parents in our district that this was absolutely unacceptable.
And I give credit to the superintendent for reaching out to me because I've worked in journalism for 25 years, and in many situations like this, the school will just blow me off and not write back, but the superintendent got back right away. So I do give him credit for that.
Yeah. Like I said, they are just as frustrated as I am. I feel.
Gotcha.